Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few short moments, you will be in the Walter Jones panel, the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger himself, the man who needs no introduction. Walter, come on out and say hello to your fans. Everybody, round of applause for Walter Jones.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing? Man, it's early on a Sunday morning. Thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. We are small but mighty. I love that. Power Rangers. What is that thing? I don't know. It's funny because I walk around in the world and a lot of people know me from the show, and some people know me from other things, and a lot of people think they know me, but they don't know me at all. You know, so I often get, hey, what school did you go to? Did you go to Adams? I'm like, no. Did you go to, you know, did you go to my church? No, and I'm not from here. I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, you ever watch a show called Power Rangers? Oh my God, that's you, you know? So it's pretty cool. I mean, the coolest thing, one of the coolest things is, I'm a person that I'm a people person, so I'm out and about all the time. I go out all the time, and usually I'm by myself. I don't need a large entourage or security or anything. I'm very capable of taking care of myself, and I don't necessarily need people around me to keep other people away necessarily. So I am out and about all the time in LA in various places, hanging out and meeting people, and I enjoy it. I think it's very cool, and talking to the fans, talking to you guys, you know, I hear amazing stories about how we as a group have affected your lives, and usually it's very positive. Sometimes it even brings tears to my eyes. I mean, I was at a panel, at a con a few weeks ago, and I had a guy come to me, and he said, he just stood in front of my table and just stared at me for a minute. I was like, hey man, how you doing? He's like, man, you know, I just want to tell you that when I was a kid, me, my sister, my mom, my dad, we used to sit together as a family and watch Power Rangers every day, and we were so happy. We just had a good time, and it was something we always did. He said, and they're all gone now, and I'm alone. And he said, but even now when I watch the show, it reminds me of those good times, so that's what gets me by. And I was like, man, you know, I mean, just saying it now makes me think, you know, wow. I mean, the fact that gives him positivity in his life, or that affects his life in a way that's positive, that makes him happy when he's dealing with such sadness, is amazing to me. And it's not something that I'm doing on purpose necessarily. Like I set out to do that. It's something that I've done that still lives and still affects people and still has a positive impact. And I'm so grateful that that is part of who I am. That is part of the legacy of who I will be, that I'll be in people's lives. So that's one of the most amazing things for me as somebody that, an actor who had the opportunity to be on a show like Power Rangers and be perceived as a superhero, and you know, that I've been positive in anybody's life is amazing. You know, I mean, like, I grew up as a kid in Detroit, Michigan. I grew up, you know, single family household. Mom and dad divorced when I was a kid, and it was just me, my sister, and my mom living together. I was the man of the house since I was 4, you know, so, and it wasn't an easy life. We weren't wealthy, and my dad was around, but he wasn't, you know, around all the time. You know, I grew up in a very humble lifestyle, you know, like there were times when we didn't have lights. Like sometimes, you know, we were on food stamps. You know, there were times in my life where we were poor, and it didn't matter because we were still happy. You know, we had love within our family, and that made us happy, and that's part of a big reason why I am who I am today, as far as why I deal with people in the way that I do, and why I perceive life the way that I do, because I believe that life is the adventure you create for yourself. You know what I mean? So if you are, if you want anything out of life, you want to travel or you want to be something more, it's just a matter of saying that that's what I want, and then setting goals and striving for that, because the reality is if you don't set goals, if you don't choose what you want for your life, you just get whatever comes to you. You know what I mean? So you're like a leaf floating in the wind as compared to being something that is directional. I've been gifted, I think, in my life, because I have been very leaf floating in the wind, you know, overall. But somehow I've been guided. Like I went to school in Detroit, Michigan. I graduated from high school, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I mean, I loved acting. I'd been acting in church, and I acted, you know, in like a couple of, you know, shows here and there, community theater, so forth, but not like big deals. I was never the lead guy. I was like, you know, I was shepherd number 3, you know, and took speech classes and took speech instead of Spanish, that kind of thing. And I don't know, it's something in me that I wanted to be in front of people, and I enjoyed that aspect. So I was going to a private school, and I was wrestling. You know, there was a time in our lives where things were going pretty well, and then my mom couldn't afford me to take me to private school anymore, so I had to go to a public school my last 2 years. So junior, senior year, I'm going to a new school. It's a public school. It's a dangerous school. It's the summer before I went to this new school, which was not that far from my house. There was a homecoming the previous year, and the president of the school and the quarterback of the football team, this is the same guy, he was shot and killed at the homecoming dance for stepping on someone's shoes. And so this was what I was going to school my junior year to face. Okay, this guy just got shot and he was the president of the school, you know, it's like, wow. So this is not a safe place. It wasn't a comfortable, happy experience, you know, like that in my thinking, but I had friends who all went to the school, and I figured I'd be okay, and I was. I got there, and I made friends, and I joined the drama club, and after joining the drama club, in my senior year, we went to a thespian conference, and that was a conference where all the theatrical students went to this college. It was Ball State University, and we auditioned for 20 colleges. So I had learned a monologue, you know, in drama, and I did my monologue for this group of schools, and didn't think anything about it. It was done, okay, I'd done it. You know, I thought I did a pretty good job. And then later on in the year, shortly before we graduated, they had an assembly, and we didn't really know what the assembly was for. It was just like, okay, everybody come to the assembly room. We go in the auditorium, and they're making announcements of colleges. Okay, well, this person's gonna receive a scholarship for this, and football, and so forth and so on. And you know, like, this person got a basketball scholarship, this person got an educational scholarship, and they called my name, and Walter Jones has received a scholarship to 3 different colleges. And I was like, what? That me? I got a scholarship? Wow, that's crazy. It's not anything I expected. I didn't know that was gonna happen. I hadn't even thought about it again since I had auditioned, you know? And I got 3 scholarships, one to San Diego, a school of performing arts called United States International University. Had 3 colleges around that were international. They had one in Nairobi, one in San Diego, one in England. And I was like, wow, that sounds kind of cool. And it was a school of performing arts. And then I got one in New York, Amida, and I got one at Kalamazoo, which is where I auditioned in the first place. So, me being the man of the house and being this boy that had grown up with my mom and my sister, and being somebody that wanted to be independent, I picked the school furthest away from home because I didn't want to keep coming back home to depend on my mom to give me financial support. So I figured the further I get away from home, the more I'm gonna have to stand on my own 2 feet, and I'm not gonna be able to just come back and forth and be like, Mom, can you know? So that was the reason I made the decision to go to my college, and it was in California. So I went all the way to California, and I was out there, and I went to college, and I only had a partial scholarship, so I didn't realize that it was as expensive. I was kind of uneducated about where I was going and what I was doing, and I got there and realized, oh, well, this is really serious. This costs a lot of money, and I had to get financial aid. I was gonna owe money in my scholarship, afterwards, and so I did that. I went out to California, to San Diego with $100 in my pocket. And I had to be for school books and everything else to survive. One way or another, I was just blessed, you know what I mean? Like, somehow it all worked out, between work study and financial aid and so forth and so on. I was able to go to college and graduated with a degree, a Bachelor of Fine Arts in theater, and then just was inspired along the way by people. Like, I met one of my roommates, said, yeah, man, I traveled the world with this group called Up With People. We would go to all these countries, and we have host houses, and people would, have us stay in their house, and they feed us, and, we got to know the culture. And I was like, wow, that sounds cool. I want to do that. I want to travel the world. I'd never done anything like that coming from Detroit. And then I ended up working at a place, San Diego, at SeaWorld. Doing a show there called City Streets. I was KO, the boxer, so I walk around like, hey, how you doing? My name is KO, I'm a boxer, and I had this whole character, and we dance and sing, and it was this whole thing. But one of the guys there said that I've been working with left the show and got a job on cruise ships. And I was like, wow, a job on cruise ships. So what do you do? Well, we travel the world, and we dance, and we sing, and do these shows. I said, I want to do that. So the next time there was an audition, I auditioned. Next thing you know I was traveling the world on the Love Boat, Pacific Princess. And I went everywhere. I went to Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Mexico, the Caribbean islands. I traveled all around the world, which opened me up to a lot of things. If you never traveled, I recommend that you do, because seeing the world and seeing what there is out there is pretty amazing, because it's very different from just being here. The people are different, the religions are different, the customs, the food, everything. It's like the culture is so amazing, and you are welcomed. In general, people want to know who you are, and they want to like you, and they want to know about you and your culture. So anyway, I say all that to say that I've been blessed in my life. I got my degree in musical theater. I ended up becoming a Power Ranger, and it was just one of the jobs I was auditioning for. It's not like I knew what it was going to be. I had no idea. It was like, okay, my agent called me and said, we got an audition for this show. It's a kid show. It's a pilot. A pilot meaning it's the first show. If they sell the show, it becomes a series. So I was like, okay, it's a TV show. That's all I had to hear. I'm excited. TV show, gonna be audition. And I actually had to miss the first audition. I was traveling to Orlando, Florida to do Star Search. And I was on Star Search as a singer with a band, lost my voice on the way there, and ended up having to sing backup instead of singing the lead guy, and we lost anyway. And when I got back, I missed the audition. So I was like, oh man, I missed that audition. About 3 days later, my agent called me and said, we still want to see you. So I went in and auditioned, and after it seems like 5 auditions. Because we auditioned the first time, we went in, we had to do a monologue, we had to read the scene, then I had to dance, I had to do martial arts, and I had to flip. So imagine being in this small room, probably about this big. There's like 3 people sitting there going, okay, so can you flip? I'm like, yeah, I can. There's not much space here, but I can do a backflip. So I do a backflip, and they're okay, good. Read the scene. Okay, good. Can you dance? Show some dancing. Oh, yeah, dance. A little hip hop, some dancing hip hop. Now, can you do martial arts? Oh, yeah, do some punches, some kicks, karate stance. Now, can you put it all together? I'm like, okay, give me a minute, let me think. Okay, so flipping, kicking, dancing together. All right, so I had to come up with something, so I started dancing, whatever, throw some punches, I do a backflip, I land a karate stance, and they're like, okay, we want to see you again, come back tomorrow. So now I got another audition against more people, and now they're gonna put me with a group of people, and it was like, now we're being paired up as a cast, and it went from like, they saw, I can't tell you how many people saw. I know in that week they probably saw 800 people. They narrowed it down to like 25 casts of 5. So 25 people, down to 3 casts of 5, down to 15 people. They had a tall cast, a short cast, and like a funny cast or something. And I was in the short cast. Everybody thinks we're big. People see me and they're like, man, I thought you was bigger. It's because the girls were this big, The girls were short, so they made us look big, I'm standing next to Amy Jo. I'm pretty big now. So, and then, I remember after we got the show, after we were auditioning, they were going through the 3 casts, and everybody was like, trying to team together. It's like, It was competitive. Okay, it's like, okay, we all want this show. We're all gonna work together. So like Austin St. John, the Red Ranger Jason, he was not an actor. He was a kid who got dared to audition. Hey man, I dare you to audition for that. He's like, okay, I'll do it, So he auditions. He never really acted, and my scenes were with him. So they talk about it afterwards. They say, you built Austin up in that audition. You were such a great actor that you made him become a great actor because you really pulled him in. So like, if he missed a line, then I said his line and made him go to his next line by saying something like, I don't know, I don't remember what it was, but I'd be like, yeah, man, like Trini and them. And he'd be like, yeah, because Trini is such and such and and it all worked out. We ended up having this chemistry. I remember we all went to Elias Big Boy's restaurant to go have lunch, and we sat there and we're all together and we're all excited because we're all young actors trying to get a show. And we're talking about our characters and trying to figure out who we were as people, getting to know each other so that we could then have this chemistry that we ended up having on camera. And it was awesome. We got the job. Yay, we got the job. So we are now Power Rangers and we're gonna do the show. And we did the pilot, and you all have seen the pilot, The Day of the Dumpster. Yeah, that was, actually, the pilot was the lost episode. The lost episode, right? So, and now we had a different cast. We had Audrey Dubois as the Yellow Ranger, who was Latina. And her being the Yellow Ranger wasn't as, interesting. It was like, after they let Audrey go and they hired Trudy Trang, then it was like, ooh, the Asian Ranger is yellow and the Black Ranger is black, and what's going on with that, right? But it wasn't originally like that. I mean, I was always the Black Ranger. And it was explained to me that the reason for that was the Black Ranger and the Red Ranger in the Japanese footage, which they used for the show, were always together. They were like they were like number 1 and number 2. So if the Red Ranger went down, the Black Ranger kind of took charge. So they were best friends, kind of. So when it came to the American footage, they wanted the jock, who was the lead, Austin, to be best friends with the other guy, the cool hip guy, which is, that's me. And then there was Billy, who was, in charge of all the technological stuff and was the problem solver. So when you think about it, who was I gonna be? Was I not gonna be? I wasn't gonna be, at that time, in the 90s, I wasn't gonna be the jock, the lead guy, and I wasn't gonna be necessarily the technological good guy. I'm the hip cool guy, so that's what it was. And so, between the Japanese footage and the American footage, it ended up being that I was a Black Ranger. I never had a problem with that. People go, is it weird that you were the Black Ranger? I'm like, no, it was kind of cool. Because I'm from Detroit. So coming from Detroit, I'm like, I'm the Black Ranger, Like, it was cool. I mean, for me, as far as I know, I was the first African-American superhero, which is an honor within itself. Live action, I think there was animation before, and there was Spawn. There was a movie, not Spawn, but another movie with Tony Todd, I forget. But as far as I know, I'm the first African American superhero. So to be that and to be in a black costume is cool for me. I'm like, I don't have a problem with it. It's never been an issue. It's not prejudice. It's not something that people can look at and go, oh, that's weird, because I am a role model for millions of people around the world. There's nothing negative associated to it at all. So when people would ask me that question, I'm like, no, it's cool. I like the color black, so it's all good. Anyway, I've been rambling. Does anybody have a question? If you do have a question, come on up to the middle, and I'll be feel free to ask me anything, and I'll answer if I want to.
All right, so going through your basic filmography, it shows that you were a part of White Men Can't Jump, and then in a very, very iconic film called Malcolm X. I don't know if everybody's seen this or not, but it is a fantastic movie. How did you feel transitioning from Malcolm X to Power Rangers the movie, to Space Cases?
Well, the transitioning is very interesting. I mean, obviously, Power Rangers is a kid show. And the scripts were not heavy, you know. It's like it was kind of bubblegum, you know. It's family television, and you know, it's not like we were doing anything that was dramatic, super dramatic and heavy. But then to go and work with to have to carry a show like Space Cases, because Space Cases, if you don't know, if you haven't seen it, it was kind of like a Star Trek for kids, and I was Captain Kirk. So it was cool. It was like basically about a group of kid aliens, and I was the only Earthling in the Star Academy, and you know, like learning to be officers. We sneak aboard this ship that comes in, and we get our commander and our teacher come and chase us onto the ship because they find out we're going. And we're curious, and we get on the ship, and we get logged on as the crew, and they get logged on as the passengers, and the ship takes off into space, and we get lost in space. So now we're having all these adventures, going from planet to planet, dealing with different aliens, and so forth and so on. I'm the captain, you know, and the adults are the crew, so they can't do anything on the ship, so I gotta drive. They can just give us, you know, information on what we should do. We have classes and so forth. To go from doing Power Rangers, which was, you know, I didn't have a leading role. I mean, it was a team cast, but then to go to Space Cases and be the lead and kind of, you know, that was really cool. I enjoyed the responsibility. I was like, all right, I got this. You know, coming from Power Rangers and going to that, transitioning to film is altogether different because there's a lot more time in film than there is in television. In television, it's go, 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 go. You know, and we do a scene in television, and you have a couple hours to knock it out. That's the master shot, it's the over-the-shoulder shot, you know, the POV shots, then you got your close-ups, and anything they want to insert into that, and that might take 4 or 5 hours to knock that scene out, whereas in a movie, that same scene might take a whole week to do. So you have lots of time to play and find intricacies within your character and so forth and so on. It becomes very technical. Going from television to film is interesting too, because things are on television. Theater, everything's big. You have to act to the back of the theater, right? And television, everything's a little smaller because you're right here. If it's a close-up, it's an eyebrow, you know, to react to something. Film is even more dramatic because it's smaller movements. The story is told in a different way. So going from one thing to the next was educational, exciting, and sometimes nerve-wracking because anything that's new is kind of scary. So that was cool. By the way, I have to say this. He mentioned 2 films that I never did. It's on IMDb. I didn't do White Men Can't Jump, and I didn't do Malcolm X. It's funny, somebody else put them, that's the thing about the internet, somebody put that on there. I've never taken it off, but I never put it in on. I never put anything on the internet. Most of the stuff that's there is something that somebody else put up. So I never did those films, but I've done other films. I wish I had, because Malcolm X was an amazing film. Apparently, it has me listed as being a patron in a barbershop. That doesn't sound that exciting anyway. I'd have been like, yeah, cut my hair. thanks. Like, that'd have been my scene, right? Okay. Or I just would have been in the room, I guess. But never did that. And White Man Can't Jump, I think I was still in college. So, but I did do other films. I did a film with Malcolm McDowell. I did some films with James Coburn. His last film was called American Gun, right before he passed away. And, I worked with some incredible people. So, next question.
Hey Walter, how's it going, man?
I'm good, bro.
Okay, I bet everybody here is wondering this. How did you feel that Zach's character got a love interest and he finally hit it off with her, but then in the second season, Angela was nowhere to be found?
Yeah. I was like, man, that sucks. I work so hard to finally get that kiss. And I think I took her to, I had the episode where I sang to her and I gave her a ring and, finally Angela was with me. I guess, they didn't really want romance to be the biggest subject for a kid's show. So, I mean, that's understandable, but yeah, Zach was kind of crazy for Angela and she was very pretty. So, I actually ended up working as a singer alongside her sister, who's an amazing singer. And I ended up seeing her sister more than I saw Angela, so it was kind of crazy. Next question.
How does it feel to be a Power Ranger?
It feels amazing. It's so cool. The funnest thing about it is I get to see guys like you and talk to you and not be, to be a good voice, a positive voice, to be able to say, hey, you stay in school and do good things and you can be like me and you can be like a Power Ranger. And if you listen to it, if you think and believe in yourself that way, then I've done an amazing thing and it's easy. I love it. It's my favorite thing. I just think, I think that anything positive you can do for anybody. I mean, I think we walk around in life and you can help one person here, one person there, and anything that you do, it has a trickle effect. It's like it causes ripples in the world. You help one person and that person hopefully helps somebody else and it builds, and to be somebody that has made trickles everywhere. It's like, wow, that's my legacy. That's amazing to me. Hey, buddy.
How much of Zach's personality in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is part of your character?
It's actually pretty interesting. I think a lot. I'll say a lot because when it comes to building a television series, they hire the actors and then the writers start writing to the actors. So the personality traits that Zach had are many of my own personality traits, in the initial audition, they wanted somebody that was fun, hip, everybody loves him, but what does that mean? What is that in a person? And so, from my upbringing, I was talking about this last night with somebody, my upbringing, being the man of the house and being somebody who was raised around a lot of women. Like my mom, my sister, my mom had 3 sisters, they had kids, I had 1 boy cousin. So it's like, I was always around girls, and so when I went out, if I went out with my cousins, if anything seemed to be, I was always very protective, so, if something was going down, then I was gonna step in front of any of my cousins or my mom or my sister, and I was gonna be ready to protect them. So that chivalrous kind of anti-bully thing is innate in me and my personality, and that came across in the character Zach, because if anything was written, like say, I'm with Trini and Kimberly, and then the putties came, I'm automatically going to the front, because I'm like, I gotcha, I got this, don't worry, and they're with me too, because they're strong, so it's like, I got a team, we're a team, but that always came out. And so if a director came in and said, okay, so Kimberly's gonna do this, and I'm like, no, Zach wouldn't let that happen. Zach would be like, no, I got this. I'm gonna take care of this first. I'll be the first line of defense because I'm gonna protect my friends and anybody else that's being in a position where, you know, there's a big person, there's a small person, I'm gonna stand up for that smaller person. That's who Zach was. And then the energy of just being fun and friendly and silly and, you know, and happy. And that's who I am. I mean,
Yeah, it
you know.
seems like it. I got that impression Friday.
Yeah.
When we met you. And thank you for being so nice to us.
Of course, man. Of course. You know, I mean, we're all people in this world, and I mean, we're all different, but that's part of the coolest thing about it. It's like we're all different. So if I can learn something from you, you can learn something from me, and we share something. I'm a believer that everybody that you contact in your life has something to teach you, you have something to teach them. It's just a matter of allowing that to happen. So I figure, you know, I'm in a position where I get to share a lot of myself with a lot of people, and I get to get a lot of things from other people, you know, like the love you guys give me, man, it's awesome. It's funny because right now we're traveling more than we traveled in previous years. I mean, we did Power Rangers in '92. That was the pilot, and then it came out in '93. I did the show, 85 episodes. I was done with the show at 95. That's a long time ago. And I did personal appearances. Like, it's funny because I've had some people come up to me here and show me pictures of when I was here doing a con 20 years ago, and they were kids, and I'm hugging them, you know, and now they're there and they're grown, you know, they're taller than me. They're like, yeah, this is a picture I took with you 20 years ago. I'm like, wow, that is crazy. That is crazy to me. And then what we do is we'll take a picture in the same pose. And now they're bigger than me. I'm like, wait, you hold me now, you know, why not, you know? Yeah, so it's crazy that the show has gone on for so many years, and now we're traveling and going out and seeing the fans. We had our 20th anniversary, which kind of woke everything up. Netflix, you know, all of a sudden you can see all the episodes. The shot release of the DVDs, so you can see all the episodes again. And not only did that reinvigorate the show, but it opened to the eyes of a new generation. So now your kids are watching the show, which is, wow, that's like, really? I mean, it's alive again, and last year I did about 15 conventions. This year I'm doing almost 20. I'm traveling every weekend from now until the middle of December. I'm going to Australia, I'm going to England, I'm going to Canada. You know, it's amazing that I can go almost anywhere in the world and somebody's gonna be like, Zach. You know, like, even in different languages. I've been to Dominican Republic, and the kids, you know, they speak Spanish, and they recognize me, and they would be outside of my place I stayed in, my friend's house, outside at 7 o'clock in the morning, calling my name, Zach, like, come outside, Zach, like, come out and play, you know, and finally we go out, and my friends are like, hey, he doesn't speak Spanish. And they go, what are you talking about? He speaks Spanish every day on TV. You know, because they dub in my voice, right? So I'm like, I don't know what I say, but it's a different voice, but it's my face, and they all know me. So yeah, it's pretty amazing to now have, you know, 20 years later, to be traveling around and meeting all you guys and getting all this positive energy, and to hear all these amazing stories of where you are now in your lives, because back in the beginning, it was crazy, because your parents were crazy. Your parents were crazy because you loved Power Rangers. Oh, Power Rangers. Gotta have the toy, gotta have this, gotta have that, I gotta get the video game, I want a costume, you know, and it was hard to find. So, excuse me. So your parents would go and stand in line at a store or sleep at the store the night before to make sure you could get that Black Ranger doll or that Green Ranger doll that was going off the shelves like crazy. They would stay there all night, the night before, get the doll or fight for the doll, and then give it to you for Christmas so you could be really happy. And then we would come to town. It was like, oh, they're here. And we would take you to see them, and there would be a line outside, you know, and they'd be standing there from like 8 o'clock in the morning. You'd finally get to see us at like 1. You've been in line all day. You're hungry, tired, and you get there and you would be overwhelmed and couldn't even look at us. You'd be like this. They'd be like, so this is the Black Ranger, this is Zach. And you'd be like, I don't see him. I don't see him. And they're like, no, that's him right there. Look at him. Look. That's the picture. Look. I don't see him. I don't see him. And like, take a picture with him. Take a picture with him. No. And imagine being a parent and being like, oh my God, we've waited in line 5 hours, and now you won't even go take a picture with this guy that we've been waiting for 5 hours to see. You know, it's like your parents were crazy, like, and we had to be like, hey, it's okay. It's overwhelming. And it is overwhelming sometimes for little kids because it's too much. It's like, oh my God, you're right here. You're you know, and to believe that we are truly these superheroes, you know, and have that right in front of you is like crazy. So as kids, you guys were kind of shy and intimidated and very polite and sometimes super happy, like, yo, what's up, Zach? You know, it was like that. But oftentimes you were too shy and it was crazy, you know. And now you guys are grown and you have kids. And so it's different because you're excited about Power Rangers. They were part of your childhood. So you're sharing that with your kids, and you have a different way of thinking about it because your parents didn't get it. What is this Power Ranger thing? You know, oh my gosh, I gotta wait in line, I've done all this, and now, you know, but you're like, okay, you guys come up with your kids, and your kids are like excited because you were excited about what we were. And it's like they've heard stories from you and your childhood, and it changed the whole dynamic. So at this point, we are becoming iconic, which is wild to me, you know. I mean, I'm here signing autographs right next to Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler, the Fonz, what? I mean, I grew up watching Happy Days, you know. Like, I'm like, hey, you know, I did all this stuff, you know. I'm like, he is an icon for me, you know. So I am humbled to be on the same playing field as him, and but it's true. He affected my life in a way because I grew up watching him on TV, and then I've affected your lives in that way. And there's a mutual respect because he sees that I have fans that love and adore me, just like he has fans that love and adore him. And so it's like, all right, there's a common respect there, which is amazing. I mean, the thing about Power Rangers is it wasn't a union show, which means this. I'm not wealthy. I didn't become wealthy from the show. I became famous from the show, but I didn't go and buy a house and have a Lamborghini or anything like that. The show didn't pay for us like that. It was just a job. It was like a little more than an average wage or minimum wage. It wasn't what it's supposed to be. The show made $1 billion in the first year. That's with a B, $1 billion the first year. The owner of the show, Haim Saban, is worth $3.6 billion today because of that show. It was a non-union show. So being in the union as an actor protects you, the Screen Actors Guild. What happens is being in the union, it assures that actors are paid so that they can make a living doing what they do. So you'll see a lot of actors on a show, on a say a big show. And they make a lot of money. You're like, oh, they make a lot of money, but they may never work again. They may not, you know, you look at a show like Cheers. How many of those actors do you see working anywhere anymore? You don't, not really. You know, Kelsey Grammer, that's one. That's it, right? You look at Friends, and some of those guys, and they made lots of money. You know, look at MASH, you look at, you can name any show, and you can, you know, look at Dexter, you know, which was a popular show just recently, but you won't see a lot of those actors working regularly anymore. So when you are fortunate enough to be an actor and get a hit show, which is, you know, there's lots of shows, there's only a few hit shows. If you get a hit show, then they pay you to say, all right, you got a hit show, and just like that is the way you made your living. You are gonna get residuals, which is residual income for these shows that you've done, and it will continue to pay you throughout the time that we air it, because they air it on TV, and then it goes to DVD, and then it goes to film, and so you get paid off of each one of those media markets. You get paid for merchandising, you get paid for, you know, whatever you are involved with that involves your likeness. Non-union, you don't. You don't. So, dolls, pogs, video games, t-shirts, blankets, pillows, whatever, anything that my likeness has been on, I didn't get anything on it. So it's not like that. It's great because it made me famous, but it didn't make me wealthy at all, you know. And a lot of people ask, well, why did you leave the show? And at that point when I was on the show, I realized that it was really unfair. The first 2 seasons, like, okay, well, we built it, and you know, it's like we were lucky to have a show. It's now this thing that's great and amazing, and we're just grateful, but now we should be treated like professionals because we created something that's gonna live on, and that is in 40 countries, and so we should now be treated like professionals, and we've earned it. And so when I left the show, we were negotiating to have that happen because they had given us contracts to do 3 films and another 40 episodes, but it was all non-union, and I was like, that's not fair. So, I tried to get everybody to get together, come on, let's all get together and negotiate, and in the end, only 3 of us did, and the other 3 stayed, and then we made it better for them, which was cool, you know, but we ended up negotiating and ended up leaving, which is unfortunate because my biggest regret of this whole thing is that I wasn't part of that first film. That was for us. We built that. That was something that I was supposed to be part of. Like, that should be part of my legacy, is being in that film, because we created the show, we built it up, we made it popular, and that film was supposed to be all of us, you know? And it didn't happen, and that's one of my biggest regrets. But here I am 20 years later, so life is still good. Is there any other questions? Yes.
Due to the new resurgence of, you know, Power Morphin, Power Ranger fandom, you know.
Yeah.
I've read in the internet recently that there's going to be a movie,
Yes.
a new movie.
Yeah.
And I was interested in knowing if maybe you would make, you know, I don't know, be a role or a cameo, perhaps?
Well, this is what's exciting about this film. The other films that they've done have all been non-union. So me being a union actor, I have to go across, I have to betray my union. And I can't, it's difficult to do. So I haven't been able to go back and do the television shows or the movies, and I would have been happy to, because, you know, it's part of what I've done and I'm still capable, you know. I would love to be part of it. This movie is a reboot, and they're gonna use, you know, top caliber talent and top caliber directors. It's Lionsgate. It's really finally gonna be a union film. So I am excited at the possibility of being part of it. It hasn't come to me yet. Like, meaning I haven't been made any offers or even been spoken to about it. But I'm hoping that there's gonna be a possibility, cameos at least. I mean, I know it's a reboot, so which means they're recasting all of our characters. And I'm excited to see who they cast as me. That's gonna be interesting. Who could it be? You know, and people ask me, who do you think it's gonna be, or would you want it to be? And all the names I can think of are too old. You know, because we're supposed to be teenagers. So It's probably gonna be somebody up and coming. Maybe it'd be somebody Disney, I don't know. And I wonder if they're gonna maintain the hip hop keto part of my character, because that was one thing that made my character, unlike any other character that's ever been in Power Rangers, is I did dance and do martial arts, is kind of on the line I think of as like a Jackie Chan type style, because it was different. It wasn't common. You know, Jackie Chan uses props and flips and all kinds of acrobatic type stuff to defend himself and for offense. And my character had to do the same, but with dance, and that was creative. It was like, okay, so how do you do that? How do you dance and fight at the same time? Hey, there's a buddy, they're about to get you, dance, it's like, it's weird, but I found a way to make it into something that became a distraction. It's like, okay, so I'm not just dancing because I think it's fun. It became a style of, okay, so you're gonna punch me and I'm gonna evade it. I'm gonna evade it, and then I'm gonna do something to distract you. Pow, I'm gonna hit you, that kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun to me because it's probably the most creative aspect of what I had to do on Rangers. I mean, the lines were not that hard, Zach here, ready to rock, but that part of it was like really challenging and fun to me.
Well, I really hope that you're in the movie and you get to be on the big silver screen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Woo, write in. Somebody write a letter. Get Zach back on. Bring Walter Jones back to the film. I'd be excited.
One question
Yes.
for you. Wanted to know. Well, first of all, let me say this. As far as like your time as a Black Ranger, one thing like for kids like me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kids like me, like you really inspired me as far as like saying like, hey, Black people do martial arts. Because other than that, it was just like Jim Kelly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, wait, this dude is on a show that's like doing this martial arts and he's dancing and it's cool and it's awesome. Question is, like, what actually drove you to like, what actually like kind of lured you to martial arts in general? You know what I'm saying?
I grew up in Detroit, like I said, and my cousin was taking karate classes. And I think, I was always tiny. I was never a big dude. I was always tiny. And I think I had been bullied, or I had been put in a position. I think I had 3 kids try to take my lunch money one time. And I think I told my mom about it, and she talked to her sisters about it, and they all decided we need to put him in martial arts class so he can defend himself. So that got me started, and I excelled. I got into martial arts, and one of the things we would have to do, they call it California Rush. So one person got in the middle of the studio and everybody had to run at him and try to fight him at the same time. So next thing you know, you're like fighting 5 people. You're so like, and like getting kicked from behind, and it's like you're getting bum rushed. But like you didn't get hurt, but it was like, it was intense. Like when you're going through something like that, everything kind of slows down. You see things in slow motion. So you're like, this guy's coming at me, kick him, turn around, hit that person. And like, we weren't hitting in the face or anything like that, but I got people jump kicking me in the back, and I had to recover and then like do something, grab this guy and hold him, and try to like, so it made me have to think in a way that was like, all right, if I'm in a situation where I'm dealing with more than one person, how do I divide my attention and learn to end one of them at a time, to end the threat, either knock them down to give me more time, or evade and run and then do something. So that's the way I got started in martial arts, and I was the Michigan State Pee Wee champion. And which was kind of cool. I fought in this karate tournament, which scared the bejesus out of me. I was like, because I was little, and I think I grew up scared in a way. Living in Detroit, I was always afraid I was gonna get shot or stabbed or something. Somebody's gonna hit me with a brick, kind of thing. And when I did these karate tournaments, I remember I had to fight a number of people. It was one where I had to probably fight like Karate Kid. I had to fight like 6 people in the day. Started earlier in the day. I had to fight somebody, and then that moved me up in the rankings, and I had to fight somebody else. And I ended up having to fight my cousin, and I won. And then my aunt just kept feeding me chocolate. Here, have some chocolate, for energy. And then the last fight, I had to fight this guy. I watched him fight. He was bad. He was fast. He was taller than me. He had like these legs, these kicks. He was Taekwondo. So, and I was studying Ishiru. So he had all these kicks that were like head kicks and fast. And I was like, wow. So I had to fight this guy, and I was scared. I was scared to have to fight him. And it was point fighting. So it's not like we're fighting to the death. It was point fighting. So if you got a point, you got a point. And I just remember, like, the thing about Taekwondo is there's a lot of high kicks, and Isshin was a lot of low stuff. So I remember fighting this guy, and like he threw a kick to my head, and I kicked him in the groin. I was like, okay, point, all right? So I'm like, okay, I got a point. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit. And then we're fighting again, and I'm waiting for those legs to go up because I'm gonna attack again, right? I'm gonna hit him, and this time he threw a side kick and caught me in the ribs. I was like, oh, okay. So, and that hurt. I was like, ow. And I took that, and then I was trying to think what I could do next, and one thing that I could always do is I had this flying jump side kick that was mine. It was like, you don't expect this short guy to be able to get so high, and I would jump up high in the air and I'd kick. And so we're fighting, we're like, he's throwing at me and I'm throwing at him, and we're both blocking and evading, and but he's strong and he's kicking at me and stuff. I'm like, wow, he had this kick that was like pop, 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 and I'm like, I'm evading and whatever, and I step back like 3 steps and I run and I do a jump side kick, and bam, I kick him in the shoulder, point, yeah, right. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see if I can do that again, right? And so, but he's ready for me. And so we're fighting again, and I back up again. Here I go, I run and jump, and I go to do a jump side kick, and he blocks it, and I spin around in the air and land and almost fall. And he's coming at me, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I'm trying to think, what can I do next? And I decide to try to jump kick again. So I back up, and I run and I jump up, and he's ready to block it, but instead of throwing a jump side kick, I take a ridge hand to his neck, bah, and I got the point. And I was like, I don't even know where the ridge hand came from. I don't know where that came from. Like, it just instinctually, I was like, okay, I gotta hit him with something. I got him, and I won. And I was like, I beat everybody. That was so cool. It was like, I walked away from that experience thinking, I can handle myself. I can think on my feet, and I don't have to be afraid of the giant. And that's the one thing about martial arts that I love, is it gives you this self-confidence. I've only been in one fight I've never had in a fight in my adult life. I've been in a fight as a kid, and the altercations I've had as an adult have always been more like, we have a confrontation, they might throw something and I will stop them and hold them or whatever, make them, I'll put them in a hold or something, a choke hold or a suplex or something, and I'll let them go. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, but if you come at me again, I'm gonna hurt you. So I let them go, and they're like, yeah, whatever, man, and they leave me alone, right? So I've been fortunate not to have to use the martial arts that I've studied, and not to hurt anyone, and I think that is what martial arts gives you. It gives you confidence. It gives you self-confidence. You become self-reliant. It gives you self-control. You don't want to hurt anybody because you know that you can. You know that I've been trained to hurt somebody. And when you learn martial arts, it's about stopping someone. So it's about breaking or throwing or locking them up, or you know how to kill someone if that's what you want to do. But that's not what you want to do. So you learn to control yourself, to not do that. You learn to defend yourself so that you don't have to hurt someone. But just knowing that you can, there's something about it. There's something about it when like people, I'm not the biggest guy, so I've had big guys look at me like, oh yeah, what do you know? And just the look in my eye, just like, hey man. And they're like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. He should be more scared than he is. There's something behind the eyes that says, all right, let's go. And they're like, I'm leaving him alone. So that's been very beneficial to me as a martial artist. Any more questions?
How you doing?
Hey man.
I've heard tell that there were a lot of pranks and practical jokes played on Power Rangers. Are there any that you remember as being, especially either just, I can't believe we just did that, or
Yeah.
they got me good, or?
Well, there was one that comes to mind. It's funny because it was 20 years ago, and I don't remember a lot of things that we did. I know we had PAs, which are production assistants. There was actually a guy who was a friend of mine that continues to be a friend of mine today. And his job is to come and pick us up from the room, and I mean, we couldn't go anywhere without accompaniment. It was like, Walter Jones is going to the bathroom, and we're walking into the bathroom. Walter Jones come out of the bathroom, you know, walking back to his room. It's like they're on a walkie-talkie, and they're telling somebody where we are at all times. And this guy, his name was Nick, he would come and get us and walk us to the set, and we started this thing where we would shadow box, you know, or like throw punches at each other and you know, block it, and, you know, just something we would do, just kind of practice and play and stay, you know, like we're testing out our martial arts on each other. And this poor guy would get in the middle of it. So he would come down the hallway to come and get, you know, me and Austin and Jason Frank, and like we would know that he was walking down the hallway and just come out of a room and start throwing punches and kicks, and he'd be like, and it's not like we're hitting him, but we'd be like, you know, like 6 inches. So we get close and we tap him, and he'd be like, oh, you know, and he's actually a wrestler, so he's a tough guy, and man, like, he's just a poor guy. He would just get it though. And then if he had me on one side and Austin on the other side, he was like, oh, I can't, you know, like we're hitting him everywhere. And so we would do that to him. And then there was one incident where, I don't talk about it that much, but I'll tell you guys. I'm missing a finger on my left hand, my middle finger, and not a lot of people notice it. And I never hit it on the show. If I was wearing the glove, I took the glove and stuck the finger down, so you don't really notice it. That's something I learned to do over the years. And I think one of the first times we did the morphing sequence, and I had on the glove. Did I have on the glove? No, I didn't have the glove on. They made a mannequin for some reason. I think it was a stunt or something, where they had like an African American mannequin in the back, and they used it in some scene, and it was kind of hanging out in the back. And the makeup artist and myself, or the wardrobe person, decided to play a joke. So we taken the finger off of the mannequin, and I stuck it on my hand. So I'm holding it between the fingers like this, right? And so you can't, nobody notices. I got it stuck between my fingers, and I go, okay, here we go, we're doing, it's morphin' time, right? So I'm doing the sequence, it's morphin' time. And so we do it the first time, and the wardrobe person goes, wait, cut, I'm sorry, 1 second. She comes over, and she grabs the finger, she goes, okay, we're ready. And everybody cracks up, they're like, what the hell just happened? Like, she just took his finger off, because a lot of them didn't know that I was missing the finger either. They're like, they hadn't noticed it yet. So it was kind of a funny introduction to Walter's missing a finger on his left hand. Now you know. So that was just, you know, some of the things we did. One of the episodes we did was called Food Fight, and man, that day was crazy. That was a crazy day because nobody was safe. We got everybody. It didn't matter who you were. If you were the parent of one of the kids, you were getting got that day. It was like, you know, it was just like, we were well prepared because we've been filming this episode, Food Fight. We read the script, and in the script it says there's this immense food fight. So the day that was scheduled to do it, let's say it was Thursday, it's like, okay, it's Thursday. Today we got the food fight. So we get there, and everybody in the crew is walking around with plastic bags on them. So you already know it's on. It's on. Everybody's getting it. And we as the cast, I mean, we have a certain amount of freedom. So we're like, we're the cast, we can do whatever we want to do. I mean, we're kind of brats in that way, but I mean, nobody was bad about it, but we have a certain power on the set to do what we choose to do. And you know, they said action, and we had to fight, you know, Bulk and Skull, and you know, we're throwing food at those guys, and the extras are getting it, and then they're like, cut, and we're like, nope. Like, there's the VP, oh, get him. Hey, there's the producer, oh, get him. Wardrobe, ah. It was just like getting everybody with everything. It was crazy. Everybody walked away that day smelling like hot dogs. So, fun stuff.
Thank you.
Sure. Next question. Hello, darling.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right.
All right.
So I had a question. I've read a couple of times that you've done some voiceover work, and
Yes.
I want to know, like, how does voiceover work compare to being on set?
It's very different. Okay, so voiceover work is different in the fact that you have to convey everything just through your voice. So you don't have a close-up. You don't have like those small, intricate facial features to give, how you feel about something. Because a lot of things in film are answered with just an expression. It's a look or it's something, a grimace is something that conveys how you feel. So with voice acting, it's all in the voice, and that makes it different. But it's easier because you don't have all the intricacies of capturing what has to be captured in the face and with footage. Because what makes television and film acting technical is you have to repeat. So let's say there's a scene where I'm getting a final kiss goodbye from my girlfriend and she's gonna go off for 6 months and it's emotional. Well, we do it in the master. And then we do it from my POV where it's her face. She's saying, goodbye, Walter. Goodbye, right? So we gotta do that. I gotta do that in the master. Then I gotta do it for her, so they capture her face. Then she's gotta do it for me, so they capture my face. And then we got close-ups. And so it's like, I have to repeat what I just did every time. It's technical. I have to have the same continuity, and I get to change it, slightly because they'll not edit together, but my arms have to be the same. I gotta pick up this cup of water and drink it at the same time on every line. There's a lot to think about. It's technical, and emotional. So it's trying to be, I'm in the character, I'm in the scene, I'm feeling what I'm feeling, but I gotta remember the technical aspects. I gotta walk, hit this mark, walk from there to here, walk through that door, pick up this jacket, put it on at the same time, and every take. And it makes it a lot harder. Well, voiceover work, I don't have to do that. I can just change it to whatever I choose to do. So it's fun, it's creative. It's not as technical as acting on camera, but I enjoy it. And I've had the opportunity to do a number of different things, whether it was like, I had an animation project that I did, I've done some video games. I do a lot of looping, and looping is ADR looping. Looping is, if you're watching any film and there's a big scene, let's say you're in a bar, right? The couples in the actors are in a bar. All the people in the background are not talking. They're acting like they're talking. So there's some extra going, right? He's doing that, but he's not talking. So in ADR, we add all the voices to the characters in the background. So I get to do that a lot. I've done a lot of films. I've done in the last 6 years. I've probably done 70 films or so. This year I worked on Divergent. I worked on The Neighbors, 22 Jump Street, Step Up 5. I worked on Annie. I worked on Get On Up. I just did Get Hard, which is Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. Funny movie. I've done all kinds of stuff, like some of the coolest movies that come out. I'm excited because I'm part of it before it goes to theaters. I've done like Planet of the Apes. I've been in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too. I was one of the pickles. It's like, so I get to be all these different characters in all these films, and I get to be different personalities. I mean, people that I would never be cast for as an on-camera actor. I'm a white guy on the Wall Street. I'm a big bouncer. Hey man, come here. I'm some demonistic, guy, or I'm some guy, a policeman getting punched or getting shot, or I don't know if you guys ever saw, what was that movie? Midnight Meat Train or something like that. That movie is a horror movie. I've done horror movies. It kills your voice. It kills your voice because you're screaming and running. Like I did Spider-Man. I've done lots of different films. So I get to see these movies or pieces of the movie before they come out, and I get to be these different characters in the background, and occasionally I'm credited. But that's a lot of the voiceover work that I do, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that, and it pays well. That's always important for making a living. So.
Awesome. I got one more question.
One more game.
Okay, so I know you got your whole dance style on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yes.
And I read it just now in your Wikipedia that you also do capoeira now. So
Yeah.
how does that compare?
Well, I did capoeira actually. I trained capoeira when I was on the show because, again, my martial arts form was hip hop Kido, and I thought, well, capoeira is actually a dance style of martial arts. So I incorporated that into what my style was, like some of the kicks. You know what, man? I'm bummed because the second season, I was really kind of coming into that whole art form of what I was doing as a martial artist. I mean, I was training, I was learning from like wushu and capoeira and all these other art forms, so I was able to do more fluid, cool stuff. I was doing Hong Kong spins, I was jumping off of stuff and flipping and, kicking. I was doing more crazy stunts. I did one where I had a couple of putties chasing me through a park, and there was a putty standing in front of the swing set, and I dived through the chains, did a front flip over him, landed, kicked the putty, made him go into the putty that was chasing me on the swing, and that's a pretty cool stunt. Unfortunately, you don't see it. It's like they didn't cover it in a way that you really understood what happened. It happened so fast. I dived through the chains, and the first time I did it, my foot got caught. So I dived through the chains, tried to do a front flip, got caught in the chains. It was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And luckily it was sand, and it was all good, and I survived. But the next time I got it, and like that kind of stuff was becoming more of who I was as a character, and just, as my martial arts improved, because I was training on the show, we had all these amazing martial artists on the show, and some of the best at what they were doing. And so I would train with them. We would have downtime, and we'd go outside, and there was a mini tramp and mats, and we would go and work out and do different stuff, and they were teaching me to do things. Hey, let me show you how to do this butterfly kick, and let me show you to do this, and this is this tornado kick where you jump off one leg, land on the same leg, and if it'd be dope if you could jump off that leg, land on the same leg, go into this, and we were physical, so we were able to pull off a lot of stuff that was cool. I was trying to do like a jump spinning back kick, which is, just jump spinning back kick, and you land. I was trying to do it twice. I was trying to get like this tornado kick, which I don't think had been captured on camera. I'd never got it. I could get like 1.5, but I couldn't quite get around, but given more time to work on it, I would have probably found a way. I mean, to do it naturally. Obviously, now, you have wire work, so it wasn't as prevalent when we were doing it, but now you'd be able to do something like that, and they just give you a little help, make it look Hollywood. But capoeira is not something that I currently study. It's something that I studied for a little bit, and that was mostly with martial artists, never to get a belt.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, okay, so we gotta wrap it up, guys. I appreciate you. Hey, we got one more question. Anybody?
We're out of time. We're out of time.
We're out of time. Okay, we're out of time. We gotta go. So, guys, thank you so much for coming out to see me today. I know it's early on Sunday morning. If I've not met you, please come by the table and say hello. Come and get an autograph, a photo, and I appreciate you guys being here today. Thanks for letting me ramble. Thanks so much, guys.